Mr. President, thank you so much for taking some time with us. One of the most consistent promises you made on the campaign trail back in 2015 and 16 was to resolve the opioid crisis here in New Hampshire. And your administration, working with Congress, has provided quite a bit of aid and a lot of help. But the overdoses are still happening. The problem is still here. What more can you pledge to help this state?
So it really is, and it's something that's taken place in New Hampshire almost more than proportionately, almost more Ohio, New Hampshire. We have really worked hard on the opioid, as you know. Tremendous lawsuits going in against the pharmaceutical companies, and we have it down 16-17%, which is tremendous. That doesn't satisfy anything, but we have it down. The other thing we're trying to do is a non-addictive painkiller, and we're working very hard on that with everybody. The order's out. Get a painkiller that's not so addictive. You know, people go to the hospital, they take like 4 days of opioids, and all of a sudden they're addicted. So we're working on that, but we're down 17%. As of this moment. In fact, the First Lady is chairing a committee. She's done an incredible job. She really feels very strongly about it. And then you have the other drug problem in New Hampshire, which are other kinds of drugs. And we're really stopping people now at the border. We're collecting tremendous amounts, and you're doing much better. But we have a lot of very good things coming.
Democrats here have been hammering you for 2 years on this issue over comments that came out in a transcript in which you allegedly referred to New Hampshire as a drug-infested den. Do you feel you owe the people of New Hampshire who might be offended by that an apology?
No, because this is what they tell me. I mean, they say, we're drug-infested, sir. We're drug-infested. I don't mean that as a knock. I mean, if it's a fact. Take a look at what happens. I mean, it's so many people. And for some reason, and I told you this once before, when I come up to New Hampshire, they always consider it their #1 problem, and they call it the people I love that I know up here so well. You know, I have a lot of friends in New Hampshire, and they say it's drug-infested, and we're really cleaning it out, and the police are doing a great job, too.
Healthcare, obviously a big topic, and it involves the opioid crisis as well. A lot of the Democratic candidates running for president want to expand Medicare either a little or quite a bit. What's the Trump plan for healthcare coming up?
So we have a great plan coming out. It's going to be if we can take back the House, because we're not going to get the Democrats to vote for it because they're doing Medicare for all, which is going to take away your freedom, take away your doctors, take away everything that you should be able to have. And most importantly, it's going to take away, we have 180 million people right now that have private insurance, and they love it. And all of that's going to be taken away. It's absolute craziness. On top of everything else, they're looking at 80, 90, 95% tax because there's no way they can afford it. But people don't want to go to a hospital to go to a doctor. They don't want to go. They want to have their own doctor, #1. And we went through this with Obamacare, which we got rid of the individual mandate, by the way, which is very important. But we have a great health care plan. If we get the House, we hold the Senate, we keep the presidency, we're going to have great health care, much better than Obamacare at much less cost.
Governor Chris Sununu recently vetoed a series of gun bills, among them expanded background checks. You've said recently that you're in favor of meaningful background checks. Can you be more specific? Does it include perhaps closing the gun show loophole or involving mental health records?
So we're looking at it right now. We're dealing with a lot of Republicans, very strong conservative Republicans, and we're coming up with a plan if we can. Remember this, we have a lot of background checks already. People don't realize that. So within the Constitution, within all of the rights, and we also have to remember one other thing. We have to remember that you have a mental illness problem. That's a tremendous problem. And, you know, it's not the gun that pulls the trigger. It's the person holding the gun. We have to remember mental illness, and we're working on that, including institutions. We used to have institutions that were closed for budgetary reasons many years ago. Everybody was allowed to go out on the streets. We have a real mental illness problem. We're going to have it taken care of. So we'll be working with the Republicans and ultimately with the Democrats to see if something can be done. I don't know if that's possible, but we're working on it.
I want to sneak in 2 quick questions here. One, voter fraud. You alleged once again 2016 was a problem here. Your appointee to the Electoral Integrity Commission, Bill Gardner, our Secretary of State, found no evidence of widespread voter fraud. But are you concerned of that happening again here in 2020?
I think you have voter fraud all over the country. If you look at California, if you look at so many other states, in California they settled, they had 1 million people that they found through Judicial Watch, and plenty of other places too. So we have to stop voter fraud. Voter fraud is a big problem in this country. There's no question about it.
And Corey Lewandowski eyeing a Senate run here in New Hampshire. If he runs, will you endorse him?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's outstanding, and if he tells me, we will certainly make a decision quickly, but he's a great guy, and if he ran, I think he could really do amazingly well. He's smart, he's tough, he loves New Hampshire. This is where he, you know, it all begins and ends in New Hampshire for him, and he loves our country. So if he runs, I will certainly give it consideration.
Mr. President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.